News-shadowing, whooping cough and pneumonia cases among kids spike in New South Wales. Whooping cough rates are at their highest in almost a decade across New South Wales right now, with the numbers about 10 times what they were this time last year. Emergency departments across the states are dealing with an influx of respiratory illnesses. Reports Mrs. K is with me in the studio now with the detail how they melt. How significant are these whooping cough rates now? Yeah, well, Rosie, as you said, it's about 10 times what we was last year, and the numbers we're looking at for June of this year are well about what we are seeing over the last few years. We haven't seen numbers this high since about 2016. So at the moment we are looking at about 103 reports of whooping cough every 100,000 people in New South Wales. And to put that in perspective, last year the number was about 10 per 100,000 people in the state. So it's quite significant, the increase on last year. And yeah, as I said, the last time whooping cough was this bad was in 2016, and the numbers then were about 139 reports per 100,000 people in New South Wales, and that was for the whole year. We are of course only in June, so there's still quite a few weeks and months left of the sort of winter cold season, and experts are saying this is quite significant and a lot bigger than has been previously. We spoke to Professor Robert Boy earlier, who sort of explained why we're seeing this increase, and it's in part because of COVID. COVID is a worrying infection, especially if you have in the first few weeks of life. It can be deadly, and that's why we vaccinate pregnant women every pregnancy against whooping cough, because it provides real protection at a 90% level against babies. Whooping cough is spreading a lot more because immunity has waned. For 6 to 8 years, we haven't seen very much in the community, so the immunity you have drop off year on year on year, and then the influx of new babies as well means there's a lot of susceptible out there to help force transmission of infection once it starts. It's not just whooping cough though, this is now there has been an increase in number of kids with pneumonia. Yeah, these numbers are quite startling. Rose, we're looking at about 140 presentation to emergency department in June already by children under the age of 4 with pneumonia. In comparison to last year there was less than 60. And for that sort of old age group, the school age kids from 5 to 16, that number earlier this month was 400 presentation with pneumonia compared to less than 60, sorry, at the same time last year. So the pneumonia rates are quite significant, and experts are saying that that's due to a whole host of other bugs and viruses going around that sort of lead into young people developing pneumonia. The good news is that New South Wales Health says the bulk of this pneumonia is sort of what's colloquially known as walking pneumonia, what means that the sort of are less severe cases of illness, but it can still be a persistence called for some several weeks of months, and particularly when we are looking at people with respiratory illnesses already, or those with with who are immunocompromised, that can still get really, really sick. One more. Whooping cough rates are at their highest in almost a decade across New South Wales right now, with the numbers about 10 times what they were this time last year. Emergency departments across the states are dealing with an influx of respiratory illnesses. Reports Moses K is with me in the studio now with the detail how their males house is next are these whooping cough rate now. Well, Rosie says it's about 10 times what it was last year, and the number we're looking at for June of this year are well above what we are seeing over the last few years. We haven't seen number this high since about 2016. So at the moment we're looking at about 103 reports of whooping cough every 100,000 people in New South Wales. And to put that in the specifics, last year the number was about 10 per 100,000 people in the state. So it's quite a significant this increase on last year. And yeah, as I said, the last time whooping cough was this bad was in 2016, and the number one there was about 139 report per 100,000 people in New South Wales, and that was for a whole year. We are of course only in June, so there's still quite a few weeks and months left of the sort of winter cold season. And our experts are saying this is quite significant and a lot bigger than has been previously. We spoke to Professor Robert Boy earlier, who sort of explained why we're seeing this increase, and it's been a big part of COVID. Whooping cough is boring infection, especially if we have in the first week of the life. It can be deadly, and that's why we vaccinate pregnant women every pregnancy against whooping cough, because it provides real protection at the 90% level against the baby. Whooping cough is spreading a lot more because immunity has waned. For 6 to 8 years, we haven't seen very much in community, so the immunity you have drop off year on year, and then influx a new baby as well means there's a lot of susceptible out there to help or transmission of infection once you start. It's not just whooping cough though, this now there's been increased number of kids with pneumonia. Yeah, these numbers are quite startling. We're looking at about 140 presentation to emergency department in June already by children under the age of 4 with pneumonia. In comparison to last year, there was less than 60. And for the sort of old age group, those school age kids from sort of 5 to 16, that number earlier this month was 400 presentation with pneumonia compared to less than 60, sorry, at the same time last year. So the pneumonia rate are quite significant, and experts are saying that due to a whole host of other bugs and viruses going around and sort of leads into our young people developing pneumonia. The good news is the South Wales have said the bulk of this pneumonia is sort of what's colloquially known as walking pneumonia. It means that it's sort of a less severe case of the illness, but it can still be persistent cough for several weeks or a month, and particularly when we're looking at people with respiratory illnesses already, or those with who are immunocompromised, that they can still get really sick. Lost original speed. Whooping cough rates are at the highest in almost decades across New South Wales right now, with the numbers about 10 times what they were this last year. Emergency departments across the state dealing with the influx of respiratory illness. Reports Mel's case with me in the studio while details how the significance is whooping cough rate now. Yeah, Bruce says it's about 10 times what it was last year. In the number we're looking at for June of this year are well about what we've seen over the last few years. We haven't seen number this high since about 2016. So at the moment we're looking at about 103 reports of whooping cough every 100,000 people in New South Wales. And for that perspective, last year number was about 10 per 100,000 people in the States. It's quite a significant increase on last year. And yeah, as I said last time, whooping cough was this bad was in 2016, and the number then were about 139 report per 100,000 people in New South Wales, and it was for the whole year. We are of course only in June, so there's still quite a few weeks and months left of the sort of winter cold season, and experts are saying this is quite significant and a lot bigger than has been previously. We spoke to Professor Robert Boy earlier, who sort of explained why we are seeing this increase, and it's part of because of COVID. Whooping cough is a worrying infection, especially if you have in its first week of life. It can be deadly. That's why we vaccinate women every pregnancy against whooping cough, because it provides real protection at the 9% level against baby. Whooping cough is spread a lot more because immunity has waned. For 6 to 8 years, we haven't seen the very much in community, so immunity you have drop off years on year on year. An influx of new baby as well means a lot of suspects were out there to help for transmission of infection once it starts. It's just whooping cough though, this massive increased number of kids with pneumonia. Yeah, this number is quite starting. We're looking at about 140 presentation to emergency departments in June already by children under the age of 4 with pneumonia. In comparison to last year, there was less than 60. And for the sort of age group, those school age kids for sort of 5 to 16, the number earlier this month was 400 presentation with pneumonia compared to less than 60 sorry at the same time last year. So pneumonia rate are quite significant, and experts are saying that's due to whole host of other bugs and viruses going around, sort of leads into young people developing pneumonia. The news is that news also helps as the bulk of this pneumonia is sort of what's colloquially known as walking pneumonia. It means it's sort of a less severe case of illness, but it can still be persistent cough for some several weeks, months, and particularly when looking at people with respiratory illness already, or those with with who are immunocompromised, that they can still get really sick, really sick.